All right, we got LinkedIn Live number 3 here. Exciting topic, navigating the finance tech stack. So this is something that Nick and I have been presenting on a lot recently, down at the North American Finance Executive Summit, other conferences out there.
Got the Gartner CFO conference coming up next week, next
Yep,
Wednesday. Was it May 21st?
May 21st, 11:15 a.m. Eastern. We will be presenting at the conference. We are also sponsoring Gartner, so we do have a booth down there. So Nick and I will be down there Monday through Wednesday. So feel free to drop by. After that, we are hosting a Oracle EPM hands-on event out in Reston. You can find details to that on our LinkedIn page as well if you want to stay an extra day on Thursday and see how some of the AI solutions are being deployed out there. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into this very exciting topic here. Nick and I are also sitting catty corner to each other. So if you see us looking in weird directions, we're
Switching up a bit. Yeah,
yeah.
instead of recording from our basement,
Yep.
we're actually gonna do it live here in our Ellicott City office here,
Yep.
Columbia, Maryland.
Exciting day here. So all right. So let's go ahead and dive into this tech stack. All right. So let me go ahead and share some slides here.
As Tom's pulling that up, I think as we talk a lot at these conferences and hitting the transformation topic as a whole, I think the finance tech stack is kind of rooted in being able to accelerate digital transformation, finance transformation. Why we keep going back to it, because without these core components, not really achievable. So I think that's why we're going to anchor on this topic and bring it out on its own today.
Yeah, and I think this is really going to be the start of probably the next couple of sessions where we are going to be diving into these components in more detail. So this slide, if you've been following us or seen us present before, you've seen this. This is just overlaying the core DNA of finance going across the top with the core buckets that make up what we're calling the finance tech stack. So you have ERP, you have the EPM solution that sits on top of it. That's going to be solutions such as Oracle EPM. Then you have all your data solutions and analytics, and of course AI out there, which we'll get into in a little bit more detail. So this is just setting again just the context here, where this sits within really the information, I guess, value chain throughout the organization. Okay. Before we dive into that tech stack in more detail, some interesting polling that we wanted to share as it does relate to a lot of what we're going to be talking about in this session as well as other sessions. This is polling from Gartner, around 250 CFOs, 251 to be exact. This was presented at the AICPA's Future of Finance Advisor Group, actually back in December in San Diego. The thing that we wanted to point out here is within this polling, it's talking about where CFOs and finance teams are going to be spending their time. On the top areas are really all related to planning, budgeting, and forecasting, looking at the metrics and analytics around that. That, of course, is really probably only increasing now with the volatility out there in the market, especially if you're in any sort of manufacturing or retail, multi-currency, et cetera. But really, the other components are also all closely related to those as well, and really makes up the core of what a lot of organizations are going through from a finance transformation perspective. They're really trying to streamline those top two things, right, with the technologies down below.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys see the fifth one, which is enterprise growth strategy, and the kind of quote there is, how do we rally the business around profitable growth bets?
Yeah.
Well, having the right tech stack in place, having the ability to have the right KPIs and metrics that are actually resonating with the business to make operational decisions and to put thoughtful suggestions around there around where to take spending, where to reduce, what market should we get into. All that's going to be informed, and the better tech stack that is there to support it, the quicker you're going to be able to turn around those predictions, and the more robust statistics or metrics you're going to be able to put behind what you're putting together as the narrative around why the business should make certain strategic decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. The other one that we do want to call out is finance talent management. It's down towards the bottom in here at 40%. However, it is an increasing trend that we've actually seen rise to number one at some of the more recent conferences that we've done polling at, with similar groups, with upskilling really taking over some of the other concerns or rising up with them. the interesting piece over there, how do we engage and retain digital talent we need for the future? As we go through the tech stack, not necessarily in detail today, but in general, we will start covering how you can start deploying more, I guess, tailored upskilling strategies that are more relevant to your finance tech stack. I think Nick and I have both seen AI.
Yep.
Again, it's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it, which is great. But a lot of the AI that we see out at these conferences or what we see other people presenting on, it's really more on the personal productivity side
Yep.
of how do I, analyze data faster with some Python script, or how do I, come up with a better note taker, things like that. We're going to be going into AI from the lens of the enterprise level and really where it fits in the tech stack within the different solutions out there. But the area where upskilling, again, while AI is out there, I think the main area where people are going to want to invest time and energy on training their people is really going to seem like some of the more simple stuff. So we'll go in that in more detail in other sessions here. But just setting the stage as we're going to be anchoring back and referring to this as we go through it.
Cool.
So, yeah,
I can kick it off here. So now let's jump to the weeds of the finance tech stack. So we keep using that term. What do we really mean? What all goes into it, and how do they all work together? So if we go back to the first graphic that Tom had just displayed a few minutes ago, talked about the ERP being on the left, which is more the collate, gathering information and compiling transactions, how the business runs day to day. And then we'll go to the right, get into the presentation layer. So when we think about our ERP solutions, which is also interchangeable with the GL, so some folks refer to it as our GL, but that's really the lifeblood of the organization. It's how you transact. It's how you record, your AP, your AR, issue invoices, cut POs. Your vendors are all usually kind of compiled within there. Those are really what's capturing the detailed information that make up every transaction that occurs in your ledger. Right. We also have some other systems over here which are considered key sources in the finance tech stack, which is typically your HCM solution. So like a Workday or an ADP, where you actually house all your employee information. So that way you can actually get to something where you're going to be able to do employee level forecasts and kind of predict labor costs going forward. And there could be other solutions out there from a key source perspective too. Expense management systems like Concur. All those are really capturing detail at the most granular level. So that one, you have it for accurate auditability, but then it's also going to compile what actually flows into your core GL to make up your month-end balances.
Yeah. And then moving over into the enterprise performance management stack over here, this is the broad term that is used out really in the industry that covers the core solutions that accounting and finance are going to be using really for more of the monthly close reporting, statutory reporting, budgeting, forecasting, all of that. Looking at the main solutions that we typically see within the EPM umbrella is you're going to have a solution for close consolidation and planning and budgeting. So those are the common solutions that we see almost everywhere at an organization. If you've been, around for a while, this is going to be the Oracle EPM solution. So if you have Hyperion in the on-prem version, hopefully you're off of that. Hopefully you're on the cloud version now, which is Oracle EPM. There's OneStream out there. There's Anaplan, Adaptive Insights. All those solutions out there hit on some of these. Some of those solutions are a little bit better at covering more of these specific areas, which are really just, again, extensions of taking really the base information from the ERP and source systems and enhancing and using it to add value in the decision-making process. So we're going to dive more into detail really in the top two to start in the next session. But the other ones down there are also important just to consider in your EPM umbrella, where you have solutions such as account reconciliation for transaction matching. And then you have, again, profitability and cost management solutions out there that are more used for SKU profitability, product profitability, solutions like that. The other piece to call out is embedded AI. Again, AI, everybody's talking about it. Most of you are probably tired of hearing about it. AI in this context is being pushed to your solutions. If you are on a cloud EPM solution, there are AI functionality or is AI functionality being pushed in there? Same with on the ERP side, that's all coming down. In order to fully leverage that, though, you need to have a good data model, which Nick is going to go into shortly here in the data solution side. A good data model, and you have to have really deep adoption of these solutions covering multiple areas of your business in order for you to really take advantage of those out there. So with that, we're going to kick it over to Nick again here. He's going to go into the data solutions aspect of this.
Yeah. So one way I like to think about it is, it's been pretty standard now, ERP, and then bolting an EPM solution on top for some of these functions that Tom has talked about. But when we get to a true modern finance tech stack, what we like to see is having a nice finance data ecosystem around those solutions to enable a bunch of different things. One, to drive automation. So as we talk about flowing data from an ERP or any of these source systems into an EPM type solution, so that way you can add the value to the data that Tom's talking about, whether it's through enhanced planning or forecasting capabilities, running detailed allocations, things of that nature. We want to be able to automate that data flow back and forth. We also don't want to drop data lineage. So if we have detailed transaction level data that we have in the ERP, as we flow that to the EPM solution, sometimes it's necessary to summarize it. We might not need every segment in the EPM solution that exists in the ERP, or we may want to drop a vendor detail, for example. But we want to be able to maintain anything that goes to the EPM solution. If we want that drill back functionality to be actually be able to see what happened down at the transaction level, we have to maintain that data lineage so that way we can actually develop reports, dashboards, or traceability, so that way you can investigate that and really have explanations for what's going on a month-to-month basis. So it drives the automation. What it also does is creates that data layer that then enables the true presentation layer that we have on the right-hand side here. So Tom has over here, self-serve, ad hoc analysis. Those are getting into tools that hook into the EPM solution and the ERP solution, like a smart view. So maybe something in Excel that can extract it, or the embedded reporting tools that exist within those platforms. They're great for doing purpose-driven reporting. They're there and they're meant for, as you're creating transactions or you're making changes to those solutions, they give you real-time insights as to what's actually happening to make sure you actually put your forecast in correctly, it's aggregating, and it's actually giving you the results that you want. When we're talking about true enterprise analytics, though, this is where we can bring data together from all those different solutions, create that one-stop shop where, whether it's executive management or day-to-day stakeholders, they have an area that they can go to that actually has data from each of the different places and can do the analysis themselves. So it's pretty powerful. And when you wrap the finance tech stack around with a good, like I said, data ecosystem, we're able to enable that and even get to the point where we're automating some of the monthly business review decks at the end of the month that takes people a lot of time to put together. But really, you can build Power BI dashboards that replicate kind of how that deck works, create the walk of going from total performance level down to just each individual business unit, and create the narrative around it too, so that way there's explanation for variance analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off of that, this new approach that we're really talking about here, while many of you out there may or may have come from a place where you're sourcing data directly from the ERP to the EPM solution into your close consolidation, then into your planning and budgeting solution, that's common.
Yep.
Not necessarily an issue with that. Really, as Nick highlighted, though, there is a lot of extension that you can do by adopting that data solution framework in between the ERP and the EPM to provide, again, the ability that when you go through and do your budget, your forecast, you can have that feed into that data solution, have a drill through capability to look at, hey, I planned X amount for vendor spend or whatever. You can drill directly down into actuals in one spot, right, with all that data combined, versus having to pull summarized actuals in your planning solution, look at your budget or your forecast, then go all the way back to your ERP or whatever other solution you have to drill into that detail. So that's just one small example of where that data solution can really provide extension and even add life in certain cases to your ERP, which we'll go into shortly in the final slide here.
Yeah, I mean, for many organizations, it's so acquisitive now with companies kind of merging and consolidating at this point. It's not always easy or not a possibility to move off legacy ERPs. So many organizations have subsidiaries that are running, 10, 20 different ERPs that they're trying to get consolidated using the EPM solution, but wrapping a good finance data tech stack around it, creating a mapping layer that can be controlled by the business, and again maintain what I keep saying is data lineage, but also migrate that and enhance it to the new common chart of accounts for reporting and analytics is something that a good tech stack will allow you to do.
Yeah. And in one of our upcoming sessions, we're going to focus heavily on that concept at a client where there was around 70 different ledgers on different charts that were in the middle of cutting over to a new ERP.
Yep.
Where you put in essentially a entire transformation layer to standardize onto the new chart of accounts at the transactional level.
Yeah. Yep. We'll talk about that and the type of value that can drive through transformation. And again, when you're not ready to cut over every ERP or every location at the same time, how you can actually do that and still maintain, transformation, get what you need for the business, but not fall stagnant in the process.
So just before we go into the next slide, looking at this tech stack, again, this is really the map, as it's going to be different for every organization, what they have, but this can help guide where you need to spend time upskilling your resources. And honestly, one of the main gaps that we've seen with a lot of accounting and finance groups is upskilling really just within this core EPM stack, where again, this is probably solutions that have been around at your organization for a while. Maybe you have an administrator team, maybe it rolls into finance, maybe it rolls into IT, but there is a lot of areas where these solutions can extend into to provide more value down to the operational layer, for example, for operational budgeting and forecasting, have a more integrated planning process. These are where you can really look at where is your organization struggling and where do you need to focus on, which that brings us here to our next and final slide for this session here is when should you consider re-implementing your EPM solution versus starting with your ERP, for example. So as many of you are probably going through transformation or about to start on going through transformation, probably version 5, everybody's gone through various different iterations. What we're seeing is the question of where do we start? And a lot of times, depending on the team that's leading the transformation, that answer will change. I'd say what we're starting to see is really the ability for finance to lead with re-implementing a solution within their EPM stack to really give them a very quick win, significant return on that investment and that time, and really set the stage for broader transformation. And the decision point for that really is your ERP functioning well enough where you are able to transact, you are able to pay people, you're able to pay vendors, you're able to receive checks, cash, procure to pay, order to cash, right? All that stuff is working well enough. Maybe it's really the ability to perform analysis due to the chart of accounts that's driving the need to move into a new solution. If that's the case, that is a perfect opportunity to use an EPM solution and the solutions that Nick was talking about with that data layer to pilot that new chart of accounts, put in new functionality, maybe implement driver-based planning, things like that, add some functionality in a way shorter time window than going through a 2-year, 3-year re-implementation of an ERP. Those of you who have been through it know how challenging that can be. And that's really going to fatigue the team without really the quick win that could set the stage and free up their time to be better prepared to go through the larger transformation. So just a concept that we wanted to hit here. Again, we'll go through this in more detail in some of the upcoming sessions that we have, but a lot of decisions out there for you to make, just something to consider as you're embarking on your transformation journey here.
Perfect. I think it's a good spot to close off on, and yeah, we'll dive deeper into the aspects of what EPM can solution do in some upcoming sessions and go from there.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and hope to see you all down